Matt Thompson, you are the co-creator and a executive producer on FX's hit show Archer. Last season, we saw Archer take a really interesting creative turn with the new program Archer Vice, which lasted all last season. How did that come about?
It came about, frankly, because we were bored. We didn't want to get stuck in a rut of Mission of the Week and here's what we're doing today. We never liked to be that predictable. And we wanted, first and foremost, to stick to our guns of we want to make a show that entertains us. We don't have a show that is researched or demographic that says, like, here's what we have to appeal to and here's what we want to do. We do the show to make ourselves laugh and to do things that we think are interesting. And so we decided, fuck it, let's just change everything and see what happens.
With everything that's been done on the show over the past 5 seasons, how does Adam go about trying to keep things fresh for the devout viewers of the show, which there are many of?
It's hard, you know. You really have to think about it because we want these characters to be real, and we want you to feel like you know these characters, which means every person that you know has changed a little bit, but they also haven't changed. And so everybody as a character has to keep taking one step forward and maybe one step sideways, where they're still new and interesting, but they're still that same character you love. And I think that that's where you find your stories to keep things interesting, which is, you know, Ray is still Ray, but all these other things that have happened to him, and what does that mean for how he reacts today? And what we find in this new season of Archer is still Archer, but he is now taking one step towards being a good father and 2 steps away from being a good father. And it's that constant struggle of people evolving and not evolving where the new stories lie and where I hope the success of the show stays.
One of the great things about Archer is that it rewards people who have been watching the show since the beginning. Can you elaborate on where those types of gags come from?
The people that have seen us from the beginning know that there's a lot of visual continuity that we really strive hard to keep, be it tattoos, placement of things, you know, changes in somebody's hairstyle or glasses or weight or whatever. Like, you don't really see a traditional cartoon with closing facial changes to looks of characters. That's one way, is we constantly strive to keep the look of them. Except for one, we made one exception early on, which is we decided we can't stay real with the bullet holes that are in Archer. He's been shot something like 40 times now, and his body would just basically be one gigantic bullet hole. Everything else that has happened to them, we hope, has stayed consistent. And every once in a while, we will catch ourselves and be like, "Oh shit, where's Pam's back tattoo?" And you know, hopefully fix it right before the last minute. I'd say that's the one way that the things really stick with us. The other way is we will bring back a character that you haven't seen in 4 or 5 years and expect you to know the story of that character. This season is a great example. A character from the first season we're bringing back. Conway Stern was a great character from the first season, played by Kobe Bell, and he's back this season, and we don't really rehash what he was or what that meant, and you don't need to know who he is for that episode, but it makes it more enjoyable if you know who Conway Stern is, and what happens in the episode is heightened by what happened in season 1. But we haven't seen him in 5 seasons, and that's a couple of the ways is we don't fill in backstory. We don't talk down to them. We expect you to keep up.
That's really exciting. I know I have a lot of friends who have been whenever there's been like a tease about someone being behind the scenes of something that happens on the show, they think, "Ooh, is Conway back?" And
yeah,
that's something that we always think. So that's a great teaser for the next season, which I know I'm excited for.
You know, we usually record the actors are in LA or New York, and we're in Atlanta. But it so happened that Kobe Bell was here filming a different television show, and so we got to hang out for a tiny bit and record it. And there's just a smoothness about Kobe Bell that I think is really fun, that makes his voice really interesting for that character, because the character of Conway Stern is somebody who is, you know, just as cool, if not cooler, and smoother of a secret agent than Archer on a different level. And it's always really interesting as a normal human being to hang out with those actors who are really handsome and smooth, and you're like, we're the same species of person. But you're really good at stuff, and I'll be over here with my comic books. Goodbye.
One of the things do you have a personal recurring gag on the show that you just always just gets you, that always just makes you laugh?
I love, from the beginning of the show, I love how Archer just is such a dick to Woodhouse, and he's so mean about it, and just the recurringness of do this terrible thing, Woodhouse, and Woodhouse all alone in a pool, or just a poor, downtrodden old heroin addict. That's taken from, the name Woodhouse is from a famous author of a series of British novels about the butler named Jeeves. Google it, P.G. Woodhouse. And this is the exact opposite of Woodhouse's creation, Jeeves, our poor, sad Woodhouse.
It's always it'll be good to see if Woodhouse finally got out of that empty pool in the Tunt Manor from last season.
Yeah. That pool looks amazingly similar to the pool at the Biltmore House, if you guys have ever been to the Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm not classy enough for that by any means.
Oh, Biltmore? It's awesome. It's like, you know, American Palace. It's just crazy that they built that big a house for a family.
One of the things you just talked about, how Sterling is sometimes such just a mean and very self-centered person. Has there ever been an instance of where you or Adam wrote something that Sterling does, and you thought to yourself, that's too beyond the pale. We got to change that.
You know, as a testament to John Benjamin, there's something about his voice that makes any terrible thing you write for that character to say or do, somehow I don't feel so bad when it comes out of John's voice. And I don't know why that is. I think that's one of the reasons why John has been so successful as a voiceover actor over the years, with great characters like Coach McGurk or Bob Belcher. He says awful things, and you're like, oh, that's funny. So there hasn't been just something that has been so great because the actor just put some sort of spin on it that it makes it all okay. I will say that the one thing that we were not allowed to do was in the second season, an episode called Swiss Miss, when the age of this girl that was hitting on him was written as 15, but we had to age it up because of it was creeping FX out about like age of consent for sexualizing a character or whatever.
One of the other characters that I find very fascinating on the show is Ray Gillette. And I've always been struck that he is probably the most grounded of the characters. If any of the characters could be considered grounded, he's the most grounded. But he's also, he's an out and proud, gay man who also is this, this badass secret agent. Where did the origins of that character come from? And your and Adam's decision to have this out and proud character in the show?
I don't think Adam and I have actually ever discussed it, so I'm not speaking for Adam here, but my feelings on it was just to have another counterbalance to people who are becoming increasingly crazy. Both Cheryl went, from if you look at from where the characters were in the first season and where they are today as types of characters, Cheryl went crazy. Pam went hedonistic. And then Archer, was doing his own selfish thing. And we didn't want, again, I don't want to put words in Adam's mouth here, but there's a conscious effort to, like, is Lana as a design of a character being designed as the wet blanket that has to keep us all on track? Is she the voice of reason? And trying to alleviate that pressure valve of who is the voice of reason all the time, of trying to take some of that pressure off of her, created a good pathway for Ray to come in and occasionally take that mantle. Additionally, the fun thing about the character that I always love, that it's kind of hard for anybody that doesn't know Adam well to realize, that voice was originally like a landlord lady of his that he will do whenever he gets drunk enough and talk about his old landlady Linda and her ordering the young Adam Reed around and making him go to the liquor store for her and stuff. Probably too inside, but if you're ever around Adam and you get a couple of beers at him, ask him to do Linda, his landlady, and you'll find a lot of similarities to Ray Gillette.
That is better than I ever could have imagined the origin of that story being. That is wonderful. And I love how you talked about that, because you see that Lana can get very self-conscious sometimes, like when someone insults her or questions her features, particularly like how the character is designed just immaculately. She's gorgeous. And whenever someone questions that, usually Ray's there, and he's the one who brings it back down to reality, like, hey, we need to be professional here.
I don't understand the question, Charles.
I was just making a comment. I'm sorry about that.
She is gorgeous too. It's fun, whenever you walk around our office, the animators are in different states of doing, a scene or whatever, and frequently you'll see like naked Lana on somebody's. There's a scene from this season, and it's like hardcore cartoon sex, and I can't believe FX is letting us get away with it, but Lana's gonna get laid, and it looks great. I'm so sad to say that, but it's just a cartoon character, but Lana's getting laid.
I do have to ask about this, and I'm very curious about this, because we are an awards site. You guys tried a very different move 2 years ago, when after years of getting overlooked in the animated program category, you made the decision to go to comedy series to try your luck there. And then this year you went back to animated series and you received your first nomination. What was motivated you guys to go back to the animated program category?
I'm not sure. We kind of talked about it a little bit, and I don't know if it was hubris or if it was like, well, fuck it, no one's noticing anyway, so why not take a shot at it? But after we did go in the category just straight television, Adam and I just kind of talked about it, and it's like, we're cartoon, so we'll either get recognized here or we won't. It won't be the worst thing in the world if we don't. We think that we're doing good quality, not just farts and giggles jokes, stuff that is, can be critically praised. But we do think that if we are going to get something, it is and rightly should be in animation. Did I answer that?
Yeah, you did. I'm curious, I'm curious. So, what was the reaction like from you and from the staff there when you actually got nominated? Because I'm guessing for the past couple of years it's been, the Emmy nominations came out and we didn't get nominated again. So, what was it like to finally get in there?
It was crazy because like all of a sudden a bunch of people call you and you don't know why they're calling you because I didn't know what day the Emmy nominations were coming out. Wasn't really paying attention to it. And so the day starts off with you getting a bunch of phone calls. You're like, oh, wow, awesome, crazy, that's great. But then we have won a couple of Critics' Choice Awards, which are like really awesome and a great award show. And so it's not like it just came out of the blue for us. So we didn't get too excited or we didn't get too whatever. So I would say that like we were blown away by like, holy shit, wow, okay. We make a cartoon that got nominated for an Emmy. That really means something. And then at the same time, I did actually have conversations before and after the awards with all of my friends at Bob's Burgers, because if there is one other show where I know the people that make and work on another cartoon show, it's Bob's. And I really, really, really have a great respect for Lauren and all of their actors and the guys at Bento Box as well. And I couldn't have been any happier for another show. I will say that my kids are not allowed to watch Archer, but I watch Bob's with my kids, and they know that Bob is Archer, and they know that a lot of the Christian and Eugene have been on Archer as well. And so my kids called me the night that we lost to Bob's Burgers, and they said that they were busy watching an Emmy Award-winning show, Bob's Burgers, and that joke has continued every Sunday night since that thing. And I'm like, I want to kick them out of the house at this point, but they're my kids and I can't. But they just will not stop. Like, let's watch a really good Emmy-winning show, Bob's Burgers. Wouldn't that be fun? No, it's good because it won the Emmy, Dad. And I'm just like, and kids, once they latch on to a joke, they just will go forever. They did the joke last night. I actually watched the Simpsons movie last night because they had never seen it last night, and they like, bet you the Simpsons won a bunch of Emmys, huh, Dad? I'm like, Simpsons has won plenty of Emmys. Yes, yes.
It seems like it would be. It seems like that would be like a reoccurring joke that you would hear on Archer. I just.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. It sounds wonderful, but in practicality, like every day, having your child go, can we watch a good Emmy Award-winning show? Not that great.
Yeah, it would probably wear on you after a little while. One thing I'm curious as to the writing of the show is that I've heard that from different writers that some characters are harder to write for than others because of the nature of how they talk. Is there a character that you find is harder to write the dialogue for than others?
I think that it's Lana. I think she's the most challenging character because of whatever we've fallen into as a dynamic with our characters, and again, not making her the wet blanket. Can you make it so that the story is telling its story without Lana saying, everybody quit being a bad person, or whatever it is you want to say? And I will say there are opportunities this season that we're trying to make sure that we do that on. There's an episode where we meet her parents, and we go out and we meet CCH Pounder and Keith David, who are playing Lana's parents, and to see her, as the child, instantly helps with that moment. Oh my God! And there's a moment in that show when Archer gets in the hot tub with Lana's parents that goes wrong. Oh God! And there's also another episode that we'll find later in the season where we see we see Lana as the object of desire of these different men fighting over her. And so I think that would be the one character that I believe is the challenge to get. I think I'm just talking myself in a circle here, but you get what I'm saying.
I know, I get it. And you saying that CCH Pounder and Keith David are going to be playing the parents, that just makes me...
Really well. They both have this powerful presence of almost sometimes egalitarian Her parents are Berkeley professors. They're really left-leaning liberals, and to go out there and and see what's up with her and Archer and the baby, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and especially CCH Pounder because she has a great history with FX.
Great
Remember?
history with FX. I could not get enough of The Shield. Couldn't get enough of it. For those of you who haven't binge watched The Shield, it's fantastic television, and I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe it was FX's first hit. Do you know? I'm not positive. I think
it was their first original hit. And I think that was when FX was just taking the plunge into original programming.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic show. And then she did recently a really great turn on the Sons of Anarchy as well. So we were very fortunate that she did it with us, and she sounds absolutely wonderful.
It'll be nice to see her also in a more comedic role. I think that'll be wonderful.
Yes. And Keith David is great as well. And we were at a Fox party, and Jessica Walter grabbed me and introduced me to him. And she said to him while I'm standing there, "If Keith David doesn't play Lana's father, I will never speak to you again." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am."
The only thing that could have made that better is if she said, "If he doesn't do that."
Dear Adam, Keith David will be Lana's father, or Jessica will kill me.
As if she had said, "Or I will literally die."
Exactly. When she tells you to do something, you do it. You're like, "Yes, ma'am."
I'm curious. I mean, you've worked with Adam for a long time, going back to your previous show, Frisky Dingo, and then C-Lab. How did your partnership come about?
It was either 94 or 95. We were both production assistants at Cartoon Network in their on-air promotions department, which means coming up next, the Pound Puppies. We would do 20,000 Pound Puppy spots, and from there, it got to a lot of drinking and a lot of late nights and a lot of figuring out how we can stop doing these fucking Pound Puppy spots until we figured out how to write jokes together. And it wasn't really pretty at first because it's one of those things that you get better with as time goes on. And I look at our original pilot of C-Lab, and it's just all these self-inflicted writing wounds of like references inside of references inside of references, or stuff what I consider now like meta that is really only making the one person laugh in the room. But you have to like do those things for a long time together to get better. Making television shows, you hope you're around long enough to where you can show how you've gotten better at it, and we've gotten better at
it. Also, you've had a lot of fantastic guest stars over the years that you've made Archer, from, of course, Burt Reynolds and John Hamm to George Takei, Christian Slater, Timothy Oliphant. Just these wonderful guest stars. Which do you have, in your experience, has been the most fun to work with in terms of creating the character that they're playing and getting these performances out of them?
They've all been so great. They really have been. But if gun to my head, I had to say somebody. It's somebody from this season, because he did something that has never happened before, which is he told us a story that Adam turned around and went and wrote as an episode of the show. We were on a bus going to the Super Bowl with Matthew Rhys from The Americans, who is a Welshman. And he told a story of a real Welsh separatist movement, which we in turn went and wrote a script where he's playing the Welsh separatists. And I believe the screen credits for the show say something like, written by Adam Reed after a rousing tale by Matthew Rhys, or something like that. And he's just an awesomely fun guy to have a pint with.
Well, you would hope, being from Wales, that that's part of the package. That comes
Yeah,
in his blood.
very much so. He does his country proud.
Um, Finally, I just want to ask, you've given us quite a few teasers about what's coming up this season. Archer meeting Lana's parents, and guest stars like CCH Pounder and Keith David and Matthew Rhys. Are there any other teasers you can let us know about? Are we going to find out more about Archer's father? Maybe Ray gets a boyfriend, or Mallory's abuses as a grandmother?
Mallory's abuses as a grandmother are a funny topic this season because she keeps thinking that Lana is deliberately fattening up the baby. I think was like, is there corn syrup in your breasts or something? But as far as the guest stars that I'm looking forward to, one of our best episodes of the season is an episode with Allison Tomlin from this last season of Fargo. She plays Edie, Pam's sister. And it's a really, really great episode for us because it lets us get back to Barry and Katya, which is I really missed Barry the most from last season. I think Archer works really well when he has this foil to butt heads against. That's why the Conway Stern thing works well. It gives Archer somebody to bounce hard off against. And seeing Allison Tomlin and Barry and Archer all bouncing off each other. It's one of our best episodes that we've done. It's like about the third episode or so of this year. Also, Kumail Nanjiani wrote an episode specifically for him about a Pakistani spy that he's just also in. Rob Hubel comes on to. There's an old movie, Clint Eastwood movie called the Eiger Sanction. And it's kind of our takeoff on the Eiger Sanction, which is a lot of fun. But mostly, the thing that I'm most excited about this season is getting back to what Archer does well as a television show, which is this is a story about Archer, a spy. He's a dick, but he's all right, and it's his personal growth, and people are gonna die. Nobody died last season. They were just kind of bumbling through selling cocaine. We're back.
Except for Brett.
Oh, that's true. Brett did die. You got me there.
Doing what he loved best, getting shot.
Best, yes. But now we're back to spying, danger, international intrigue, and what can Archer do to be a good person and also not such a good person.
All right. Well, I know we're all going to be looking forward to it. When is the new season premiering again?
It's a Thursday. I want to say it's January 8th at 10 o'clock. I believe that is, yes, Thursday, January 8th, 10 o'clock.
All right. Well, with all of these teasers, I cannot imagine anybody missing out on this new season. Matt Thompson, thank you so much for joining us. And best of luck to you at the Emmys next time around.
Thanks, Charles. I appreciate it. I will look forward to hopefully losing to Bob's Burgers again.